time we were talking about indexes and essentially how we can make our databases faster and how we can make some database choices. And we also looked into how a database actually, given a particular query, converts it into relational algebra and figures out different ways, plans out different possibilities, and figures out different ways that could make your query evaluation much more faster. So any questions regarding that? No, right? It was a pretty simple enough concept, and essentially that should have been easy. So today, and basically from this class onwards, we will so we are done more or less with the practical implementation aspects of databases, right? So we are sort of done with that. We are done with queries. We are done with all of those things. Now what we need to understand is, up to now, we had the sort of the role that we need to write queries. Somebody asked us to do something, we need to write queries to solve that particular problem, right? Now we would leave that hat, so to speak, and take on a new role, that is, what are the processes of actually designing a database. So you would be we need to now understand that if I am a system designer, how do we actually design a system given certain specifications, right? So let's say that a bank wants to actually start using databases and stop actually using their old, maybe they were writing in a page or something. So basically they need to start, they want to start using databases, and they bring in a database designer, you. So now what we need to do is figure out, as a database designer, we are experts in databases, primary keys, database schema designs, queries, and all of those things. But a bank would have their own domain experts, or any particular application would have their own domain experts who would sort of know what they actually need, right? So it would become a bit more clearer, but essentially in a second, but essentially we need to don the cap of actually figuring out, given certain specifications, what that database would look like. And that also means that we need a way of visualizing the database so that you and that domain expert can understand on the requirements. So for example, let's say that, how can I get an example of this? So let's say that this music industry wants to design a database and incorporate database applications into its services. Well, you as a database designer would ask, okay, cool, what would be the primary keys for your database, right? And the domain expert that knows music and they know album covers and all of those things would give you a blind look, like what is a primary key and what is what, right? So there needs to be a mechanism that actually relates to what they want and they can visualize as to what they want into some representation, and so that you can actually showcase that representation and ask, okay, these are the specifications that we need to design our database. So yes, I know a good example for this would be, so a good example of this would be, let's take our banking example, right? So let's take our banking example, and let's say that we have this account database that has, I don't know, two attributes, one a customer ID and a balance, right? And let's just say that customer ID is a primary key, right? And let's have a borrower table that has a loan ID and an amount borrowed, right? And let's say that for now, okay. And so let's say that we currently have this particular design. Now, a banking expert says that, you know what, I want one customer to have have the ability to get many possible loans, and I also want the ability to have multiple loans. So a single, I also want to have the ability to have joint loans. So a single loan can also be held by multiple customers. So we have two requirements, right? So let's say that requirement one is customers can have multiple loans, and requirement two is um, loans can be shared by a single customers, shared by single multiple loans, right? So given this requirement, and let's also have a customer ID for that particular customer, that would make our life easier. So given this requirement, can you tell me what would I do, what would be the primary keys of my borrower table such that I can allow these two requirements? Is that question clear? So what would I make my, would loan ID be my primary key? Would amount be my primary key? Would customer ID be my primary key? Would all three be my primary keys? I need to satisfy these two conditions. So can anyone tell me, if I want to satisfy these two conditions, what would be the primary keys for the borrower table? Is the question clear as in what we are trying to do? You are saying loan ID would be our primary key. So if loan ID is our primary key, that means that we can only have a single loan, right, Leon? So if loan ID is a primary key, we can have a single loan ID. And that means that multiple customers cannot have the same loan. I think I wrote it wrong. Give me a second. Multiple customers can share a single loan. I had it backwards, my bad. Both of those things said the same thing. So what I want is customers can have multiple loans. So I as a customer can take out 5 loans, and multiple customers can also share a loan. So one particular loan can be shared by me and 3 other partners, right? So given that, Leon, would loan ID still be a good choice for a primary key, given these two requirements, right? Exactly. So what would be the best choice for my primary keys in the borrower table? Exactly, right? So Leon is saying loan ID and customer ID pair should be the primary key. Do you guys agree? Should it be just customer ID? Should it be just loan ID? What does it mean to have these two things? Is the question confusing? Both, right? So if I say that both loan ID and customer ID pair is a primary key, then multiple customers, so a customer ID, let's say, so let's say a loan ID of L, I don't know, 14 can be held by multiple customers. So let's say C1. Yes, customer ID is still a foreign key. Exactly. That is still there. We are not changing that. We are just stating that the possibilities of the primary keys for a borrower. But yes, you're right. Customer ID is still a foreign key. So these, if the pairs of these two things are primary keys, then a single loan can be held by multiple customers, and multiple loans, let's say 15, can be held by a single customer, right? So C4, let's say, right? So multiple customers can also hold a single loan or can also share a single loan, right? Since both of these together make up the primary key, we can have these two possibilities. And so loan ID comma customer ID is our primary key, right? So that is the situation, right? So now let's forget about this thing. And now let's understand that when you are designing a database schema, you would know that your the domain expert, as we say, says that, you know what, customers can have multiple loans, multiple customers can share a single loan. And then you as a database designer would say that both loan ID and customer ID would be the primary key. But this does not make it obvious to the domain expert as to how this corresponds to what are the requirements, right? In your term, you are just completely sure that this is what we need to do. But the domain expert has no idea as to what it means to have the loan ID and the customer ID to be a primary key. Why did you make that choice? Because he or she has no idea. And different requirements can have different keys or different constraints, right? So I will expand on this a bit more, but let's give you an example. So let's talk about what we are going to talk about today. So today we are going to talk about something called an entity relationship model. In short, it is usually called an ER diagram or an ER design or ER model, shortened ER for entity relationship, right? So this is a diagrammatic abstraction of what your database would look like. We have already, so everything that we are going to learn in this lecture are basically things that we already know of, right? It's just, so basically we already know of the relationship model. That is, we know how to write a schema, we know how to design a schema. We can say that underlining customer ID would make it into a primary key, underlining both loan ID and customer ID would make it into a primary key, and we know all of those things, right? So that was the relationship schema or the relationship model. So there are different ways of actually representing database schemas. One way was that relationship model. So today we are going to talk about the entity relationship model. So basically it's just a new thing that will cover the old topics that we have already covered. So since it's a new thing, let's talk about the whys and the whats and the hows, right? So why do we need it? What is it? And how do we use it, right? So why do we need it? So firstly, mainly the reason is just by stating loan ID and customer ID are primary keys, that is not enough obvious information which says that these two requirements are satisfied. So let's look at another case. So let's look at another requirement, that is, let's look at customers can have multiple loans, but one customer, let's see, customers can have multiple loans, but one loan can only be held by a single customer. Yes, one loan can be held by a single customer. So basically we cannot share, multiple customers cannot share a particular loan. So now this particular representation does not make sense, right? This particular representation allowed for both of those things. Customers can have multiple loans and multiple customers can have a single loan, right? Now let's say that we want to have this criteria. Can you tell me what would be the schema key constraints for my borrower table if I want to specify these constraints? So I am just a bank domain expert. I tell you that a single customer can take out 5 loans, but a single loan has to always be attached to a single customer. It cannot be for multiple customers, shared by multiple customers. So what would be the schema design